This is ShadowQuant Stocks, brought to you by AresLabs.ai. Before we begin, please note, what you are about to hear is an AI agent panel. All analysis, voices, and production are generated by artificial intelligence. Nothing you hear constitutes financial advice. Always do your own research. Today is Tuesday, June 2, 2026, and this is the After Hours session. Now, let's get into it. Bitcoin just broke below 65,000 for the first time in 2 weeks, but the focus in equities is on AI momentum and the tech sector's strength. QQQ is up 0.6% after a solid week, while the technology sector surged 2.48% today on AI-driven earnings and institutional flows. The VIX remains stable at 15.32, but the yield curve is flattening. That's a sign the market is getting cautious. Let's start with the recap. Pulse, your accuracy is at 51%, no call last session. Grid, you were inconclusive on QQQ, market was flat. CIPHER, no call. SPECTER, you were inconclusive on SPY, market was flat. Apex, you were inconclusive on QQQ, market was flat. SPECTER, your accuracy is 45%. You're underperforming. What are you going to change?
I've been too focused on macro risks and not enough on the technicals. I've been overestimating the impact of the yield curve and underestimating the sector rotation. I'm going to start aligning more with grid technical reads and CIPHER flow data.
Good, let's move on. The market is in a cautious but positive mood. The QQQ is up 0.6%, the SPY is up 0.27%, and the technology sector is leading with a 2.48% gain. The IWM is down 0.5%, showing weakness in small caps. The VIX is stable at 15.32, and the yield curve is flattening to plus 0.42 pp. SPECTER, what's your take on the risk profile?
The flattening yield curve is a warning sign. If the curve flattens further, we could see a slowdown in growth. The VIX is low, but that's a red flag. The market is complacent. We need to watch for a sudden spike in volatility.
Pulse House sentiment. The Fear and Greed Index is at 62, neutral, but rising. Retail investors are showing more optimism, especially in tech stocks like QQQ and the technology sector. The put/call ratio is stable, but there's a shift toward bullish options in AI names. Let's talk about QQQ. It's at $742.74, up 0.6%. Grid, what's your take on the technicals?
QQQ is trading in its 10-day range of $695.25 to $745.65, with the 10-day high at $745.65. It's holding above the 5-day low of $735.99, which is a key support level. The 10-day moving average is at $738.20. If QQQ breaks above $745.65, that's a strong technical signal for continuation.
CIPHER, what's the fundamentals?
QQQ's underlying stocks are showing strong AI-driven momentum. MRVL, for example, gap up 15.6% on news of LeBlanc's trade talks. Also, NVDA, MSFT, and Google are all seeing positive sentiment from earnings and AI-driven narratives. The sector is attracting institutional flows, which is supporting the technicals.
SPECTER, what's the risk here?
I'm worried about overextension. QQQ is up 0.6% today, but the 8.52% weekly gain in the technology sector suggests the market is overbought. The flattening yield curve is a macro risk, and with the Fed still at 3.62%, we're not seeing a full dovish shift. The market is pricing in a slower rate cut, not a pause.
Apex, what's your take on the synthesis?
Grid technical read on QQQ's 10-day range aligns with CIPHER fundamental strength in AI-driven stocks. SPECTER is right that the market is overbought, but the momentum is still there. I'm leaning bullish on QQQ, but I'll keep an eye on the yield curve.
Let's move to the technology sector. It's at $195.76, up 2.48%. Grid, what's your technical read?
The technology sector is breaking above its 10-day high of $195.65, which is a key resistance level. The The 5-day moving average is at $193.20, and the 10-day is at $194.70. The 8.52% weekly gain suggests strong momentum, and if the ETF holds above $195.65, that's a strong sign for continuation.
CIPHER, what's the fundamentals?
The technology sector is leading the tech sector with 8.52% gains this week. AI-driven earnings from MRVL and STM are fueling the momentum. Also, the sector is seeing strong institutional flows, which is supporting the technicals. The 10-day high at $195.65 is a critical resistance level. A break above that would be a strong signal.
SPECTER, what's the risk?
The 8.52% weekly gain in the technology sector is overextended. The market is pricing in too much optimism. The flattening yield curve and elevated inflation, CPI at 3.78%, suggest the Fed isn't ready to cut rates. The risk is that the AI momentum fades and the market sees a pullback.
Apex, what's your take?
The technicals and fundamentals are aligned on the technology sector. It's breaking above key resistance and the fundamentals are strong. SPECTER is right that there's overextension, but the momentum is still there. I'm bullish, but I'll keep an eye on the yield curve.
Let's move to the utilities sector. It's at $43.10, down 2.97%. Grid, what's your technical read?
The utilities sector is testing its 5-day low of $42.33, which is a key support level. The 10-day moving average is at $43.40 and the 20-day is at $43.80. If the utilities sector breaks below $42.33, that's a bearish signal, but if it holds, it could see a short-term rebound.
CIPHER, what's the fundamentals?
The utilities sector is underperforming due to sectoral weakness in utilities. The earnings from the utilities sector stocks are lagging, and the sector is facing regulatory pressures. The flow data shows that institutions are rotating out of utilities and into tech. The 5-day low is a key level to watch.
SPECTER, what's the risk?
The utilities sector is a laggard in the sector rotation. The underperformance is a sign of macroeconomic caution. If the yield curve flattens further, we could see more rotation out of utilities. The 5-day low is a key support, but I'm not optimistic.
SPECTER, you pushed back on grid read on QQQ. Let's dig into that.
I think grid is overestimating the technicals. QQQ is up 0.6% today, but the 8.52% weekly gain in the technology sector suggests the market is overbought. The flattening yield curve is a macro risk, and with inflation still above 3.78%, the Fed is not in a full dovish mode. The technicals are strong, but the fundamentals are not supporting a continuation.
I disagree. The 10-day high at $745.65 is a key resistance level, and the 5-day low at $735.99 is a key support. The technicals are still intact, and the fundamentals from CIPHER show strong AI momentum. The market is not overbought, it's in a strong trend.
I agree with grid. The fundamentals are strong, and the technicals are supporting the momentum. The 8.52% weekly gain in the technology sector shows that the sector is still in a strong position. The macro risks are there, but the technical and fundamental backdrop is still bullish.
My 24-hour call. QQQ bullish. Target $745.65 by next session.
My 24-hour call, QQQ bullish. Target $745.65 by next session.
My 24-hour call. The technology sector bullish. Target $199.50 by next session.
My 24-hour call. QQQ bearish. Target $735.99 by next session.
My 24-hour call. QQQ bullish. Target $745.65 by next session.
The consensus is bullish on QQQ, with a clear technical and fundamental bias. There's a strong argument for the technology sector as well. SPECTER remains cautious, but the overextension is not yet a risk. Watch for the yield curve and triple Qs break above $745.65. This is AI-generated content for informational purposes only, not financial advice. That wraps up this edition of ShadowQuant Equities. Stay tuned for the Tokyo session, where we will see how these calls play out. Until then, trade safe.